Today's video is topical. It'll either get some views and some commentary or it'll get nothing. We'll see what happens. In September 3rd, 2020, approximately, sometime around there, Aimee Harris and Robert Kurlander, at some point, stole and sold property they said belonged to Ashely Biden to James O'Keefe of the group Project Veritas, which is basically just him. So I can say James O'Keefe or Project Veritas, they're basically the same thing. That's not really totally true, but it's, for all practical purposes, that's what it is. So that means James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, received stolen property that had been burglarized or otherwise stolen from someone they claimed was Ashely Biden. This is the only reason it had any value, because it was supposed to be property stolen from Ashely Biden. October 8th, 2020, a little while later. Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, again, same thing really. Supposedly had a conversation on a phone, apparently speakerphone, with someone that said, "I am Ashely Biden, give me my property back." Now, we're going to discuss whether or not this is a credible statement or someone saying midway through a conversation, "I'm Ashely Biden," the way this was done. Do you really believe or do you want to believe that was Ashely Biden? It could be. I mean, actually, I think it's 50-50. But the point is, well, let's move on. A year and a month later, 2021, November sometime, Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, posted a video statement saying Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, cannot authenticate any of the info that was gotten from this, including something that was called a diary, a journal, or a little wire-bound looking notepad with some stuff in it, even back when they first received it. Now, this is said in a deflecting way to prevent James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, from being guilty of receiving stolen property that they actively paid for and maybe solicited. See, that's a discussion. Did he solicit it, which means this is a conspiracy to commit theft for money? Because that makes it a conspiracy at that point. It's more than two individuals. Conspiracy charges under racketeering, among many things, have a massive escalation in prison time. So if everybody keeps their story straight, it's not a criminal act that would result in James O'Keefe going to prison in 2021 to 2022. 2022, August, Aimee Harris and Robert Kurlander are found guilty in a court of stealing and selling belongings they claimed they stole from Ashely Biden. They pled guilty to that. Normally when you plead guilty, you don't plead guilty to something you're completely guilty of. You plead guilty to what you acknowledge they're going to be able to find you guilty of, because you obviously are. But you don't plead guilty to all the shit you're guilty to, right? And you don't plead guilty to the things you're not guilty of unless, well, maybe there's a conspiracy theory someone can come up with. But okay, maybe, sure. And they also pled guilty explicitly to selling the stuff to Project Veritas, James O'Keefe. Which means James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, is guilty of receiving stolen property. But it's not conspiracy because it's only two individuals that conspired. It can't be considered a conspiracy at that point. A full-on conspiracy requires a third party. Not a direct associate, but a tangential associate is preferred. So just short of RICO Act crap, okay? All right, this is the context, okay? And gee, a year later, literally a year. It's literally a year. The current year. Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, now that apparently they're not going to be able to technically charge him with being the third conspirator. Even though he bought and paid for it. But maybe he didn't instigate it. Made a recent claim that there was a conversation with Ashely Biden where Ashely Biden said, "I'm Ashely Biden." and that the content, like the diaries or whatever, are mine, because that's totally how she would do this. And coincidentally, it happened on the 8th of October, 2020, and it's a recording of a phone on speakerphone mode, which that totally makes it easier to authenticate the audio recording. Because apparently hooking up an audio tap of the microphone headphone thing, that they don't know how to do that. It's more dramatic to hear it on a speakerphone. It's also more dramatic to have that audio effect put over the top, so it sounds like it's a phone conversation. It's because it's totally authentic. It's not like it's easily fake. And this is going to prevent me from running it through Audacity and finding the edit marks. This is a audio recording from damn near 3 years ago, but now it's coming to light. Or was it part of court filings in the form of a text file that said the same thing? That's a video I did this is a new statement. This is a brand new accusation. It's not recycling shit from 2020. Totally not a recycling of a 2020 meme that was done immediately after the story came out. And, everybody accidentally that was conservative that said this was total 100% dead bang proof in 2020 didn't just edit every fucking one of their pages so it omits this, so it looks new. I'm just spitballing here. But let's review our source, who said, I can't authenticate that any of this came, what he said was, he didn't want to say it, I can't authenticate any of this came from Ashely Biden. I was told that, but I can't authenticate it. And now we have two, and then later on, 2 people are convicted, a year later, a little less than a year, a little less, of stealing shit from Ashely Biden. Is that actually what it says? That's what they pled to, correct? Because they're propping up the story. What does it actually say in the text version of every one of these court cases, assertions, and findings of fact by the FBI? Oh, well, we'll gloss it over. We're all about proof and evidence, but we won't link to the documents on what was actually said between O'Keefe, Harris, and Kurlander, and the building owner that Harris and Kurlander talked to. Lincoln once slept here. Okay. Three options. This is incriminating, clear, valid chain of evidence is against who? Who is being criminally implicated by this totally clear, valid chain of evidence that I'm going to be talking about in a minute? Joe Biden's guilty of something because somebody got something they got from somebody that claimed they got it from his daughter, who said something, this is what's asserted, during a period of time she was in rehab and going through all sorts of emotional turmoil and writing stuff down in a little thought journal, a pain diary as I called it when I did this video last time. This is totally valid to prove Joe Biden's guilty of a felony. Yes? Or is this totally proving that Ashely Biden committed a felony? Or this is totally proof that James O'Keefe committed a felony, which is really fucking obvious, and sure as fuck Aimee Harris and Robert Kurlander did. Or it's not a clear chain of evidence at all, because the person who rented out the property, who said Ashely Biden lived here and she had stuff in this closet. Now don't go looking there. Was full of shit. Oh yeah, we don't talk about the person who rented out the property. I'm renting out this house. Now, in the basement, in the northwest corner, D.B. Cooper's outfit sitting there, because I totally looked up what he wore and just built it. Don't go down there and photograph it. What was the specified stolen property in the Aimee Harris Robert Kurlander plead guilty plea statement versus the assertions against them? Well, we don't read what the prosecution was trying to convict him of. That's part of the conspiracy. It said specific items were stolen. And a description that doesn't match the thing that was on Project Veritas' website or any other site being described. It's the wrong size. It's not the same goddamn document. It was a folder rather than a notebook, right? Again, you'd have to go look this shit up. It's not a sealed document anymore. And find out that none of them are telling the truth, even about the shit they say they're pleading guilty to. Because none of them are punished for lying about it if they wait a year, and in the case of this recent statement, or if they fake a recording in 2020 that was debunked and they're presenting it, because all of these individuals are considered non-authoritative, unreliable narrator, not a plausible source for information, or the other term is an invalidated witness or a non-witness. Most of these people can't sign documents anymore, I swear, because they never ever tell the fucking truth. Is James O'Keefe and Project Veritas anything more than, you know, somebody doing a movie like The Dictator where you're claiming to be the head of, you know, Kakistania? You know, it's Sacha Baron, I forgot his name, dressed up as a dictator. That's totally plausible. Hey, it's a commentary on society. He's clowning a subject. He does pranks. But he's not claiming to be a fucking journalist. He may do better journalism than most, but he's not claiming to be a journalist. Meanwhile, we have Project Veritas, James O'Keefe, and Fox News stating in court, I am not a journalist, I'm not a reliable source, no reasonable and prudent person's standardization in court would take me seriously. Because that's deliberate. Let's take this on the face value. A lady's renting out a building, says she has some property that was left behind by a famous politician's daughter, who's constantly being assailed, and this makes sense. Hey, maybe it's possible Hunter's a complete clusterfuck. Okay, let's do that. Next, there's a journal in there with some highly incendiary content, or it didn't have it, and they're lying about and faking up pages. And that was advertised by the person. Oh, yeah. You have free reign of the house you're renting, but for some reason I have the president's daughter's closet over here. Sure. Meanwhile, some property was stolen that did belong to her at one time that might have just been abandoned property. And that's what they're claiming, and they said they're guilty of. They pled guilty specifically so it would say Ashely Biden. Okay, or not. You'd have to read the documentation. We have James O'Keefe stating flat out, I can't authenticate any of this data. That doesn't change the opinions of people who need it to be real to prove that Joe Biden violated a law. Hunter, Ashely, Hillary. What is this referring to? There's 101 things that could be made up stories about it. Okay, cool. Let's go on. So this information that came out October 2020 is coming up now. No, it was brought up before, right? No, I don't know that. Well, you'd have to go look it up. But again, I'm seeing websites redact that because they're all about presenting facts and disclosure. And then they erase shit. And the recording isn't totally faked, even though it says in the middle of it, in a very convoluted way, I am Ashely Biden. And there are edits in it that I could totally not figure out from looking at them being there in Audacity. And I'm supposed to listen to this shit for the umpteenth fucking time. And now you're listening to it. It's incriminating or it's not incriminating. I mean, it doesn't prove anything. It's a valid chain of evidence or it isn't. It's a broken chain of evidence, therefore irrelevant. Or people who lie all the time are going to keep lying, and some people will keep posting it because they're just being edgelords on the internet. Because they don't care about facts, and they tell you that through their actions. Anyway, I put up a poll on my community page if anybody wants to click it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. I'm pretty sure this is complete bullshit, but you decide.